Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I was just trying to figure out how to do this. This is my first
You
time.
did great. Is this your first live?
This is my very first live of any kind. So
Welcome.
thank you.
It's very nice. It's nice to see you.
You too.
How you holding up?
We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
I got my coworker sitting here with
Oh
me.
my!
She says hi. This is
My
Sophie.
goodness!
She's a little shy, but she'll probably.
She is beautiful. Well, thanks for doing this.
Of course. Hi, everyone.
Hi. We only have an hour, and it surprisingly goes by really, really quickly.
Excellent.
So I'm really excited about this because I think actors hear a lot about, the approval process, and they don't really know maybe what that means or why there is an approval process. So I'm sure I've kind of already talked about your background, but if you want to just reiterate it and talk about, where you came from on the network and studio side and where you are now.
Sure, absolutely. So for anybody who doesn't know, my name is Mike Page. I'm currently working as a casting director. It is myself and Arlie Day. We have recently formed as of January,
Amazing.
Day and Page Casting.
So excited.
Yeah, and then of course, right before that, I spent the previous 6 years overseeing casting over at TNT and TBS, and within the last year, the launch of HBO Max, as well as overseeing TruTV. So that was an exciting time. And then, of course, before that, I was in the casting trenches, worked my way up as a casting assistant and casting associate.
Mm-hmm.
On shows such as Community and Weeds, the Criminal Minds spinoff, which is where I first met Ron.
Yes, I was just a newborn casting baby.
And then of course shows like Arrow, etc. And then went over onto the corporate side of things, which is a completely different beast than casting trenches.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that people kind of question is what exactly do casting executives do on
exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's, it can be a little different depending on the network and the studio. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
when we were on the cable side of things, we were working with some really exciting, very accessible development executives.
Mm-hmm.
But we worked very hand in hand. So, what was different about it being on that side is, number one, we actually get to hire the casting directors and work with them.
Right.
But part of that means we're brought in on the process for a show, especially pilots, way before casting directors are actually on board.
Yeah.
We're working hand in hand with the development executives as they're looking at scripts to pick them up. So we get to have access to the writers and directors and producers, even as they're just trying to sell the show.
Right.
And obviously making lists, thinking about reaching out to agents and managers as far as potential attachments for starting, et cetera.
Right.
But also conversations that, help inform the full cast. How are we looking at diversity? Are there more interesting types we could be doing? And of course, speaking of diversity in all kinds, not just people of color, but also making sure we're adequately representing the world as it is, making sure there's inclusion for LGBT and, performers with disabilities, veterans, etc. To, make sure we're accurately telling the story as inclusively as possible.
Right. Let's quickly talk about testing because I have not done I have worked on pilots, but I myself have not been required to do a test in like 8 years,
The process has really changed across the board. For us over at TNT and TBS, especially when Kevin Riley came over to take over as president of the company, when he was previously at Fox, he had made huge waves, this was 5-6 years ago, for announcing the end of pilot season.
Right.
So when he came over to TNT and TBS, we really got to institute that. And really the way we looked at tests, for those of you who don't know, it used to be previously every actor for every series regular role had to come in live, perform in front of a room of executives. And it's traditionally a very cold, harsh room.
Yes.
That's a very awkward experience.
Yeah.
from our philosophy, it didn't really make sense. I think multicam comedies was the one exception where it does help to have those live. But everything else, it's a different medium. If you're doing a drama, if you're doing a single cam comedy, those aren't filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Right. And it was like an audience. I mean, it's like there's a ton of people involved.
Huge ton, because you have, of course, all of the studio and network, casting executives, development executives.
The pressure is just,
the heads of the networks,
Yeah.
all the writers, directors, producers, and everybody is nervous. It's a huge high stakes thing.
Right.
And
I remember being nervous when I went to my first, like as a measly casting assistant, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to screw this up,
Oh my God. It is. It's terrifying. It's across the board.
Yeah.
So we found it to be a much simpler and a much more organic process to do it, via like screen tests.
Yeah.
Where the actors would get to go work in a room with the director, with the casting director, do a couple takes, sometimes chemistry reads, etc., and then send us the footage.
Right.
Which is great, but it does kind of keep the network and studio process even more mysterious about what really goes on and conversations.
Yeah. So talking about that mysteriousness, like when we are sending actors for approval, who is actually approving these people? I mean, I'm pretty sure I know, but just so everyone's aware, who's making these decisions? Are they more casting executives? Are they current executives? I know that, there's a whole list of people. So who's making all these decisions?
It depends on for the role, because obviously with the changes in technology and the ability to send more auditions, there was a huge change, and the vast majority of roles from the episodic co-star, even one-liners, all the way up to the series lead, have to now get sent to the networks and studios for approval. But depending on the size of the role, depending on the requests from the development departments, heads of the network, etc., will usually dictate which roles get sent how far up the flag.
Okay.
For example, the one-off co-stars and one-off guest stars in episodic casting will traditionally just go to the casting executives. And again, I'm speaking for my experience at my networks. I don't want to, speak across the board. But from my understanding at other studios and networks, it tends to be similar there too. But so we'll take a look at those roles as casting executive, to do kind of the last little quality check, just to really make sure that due diligence on the roles have been done, that it is the strongest actor possible. And again, making sure that we're being as inclusive as possible, and thinking as creatively as possible. A big difference that I would say I noticed from being a casting director to a casting executive is, as a casting executive, you kind of get an eagle eye, a bird's eye view of casting. My experience being in the trenches, when you're having to cast 30 roles at a time, and you've got your 8 days to do it, it can be a little quick, and it can be a little tough. And sometimes, from my experience, I can say I found myself sometimes a little tunnel vision-y. You read a character, you see it, you bring those people in, you kind of rush in, rush out.
Yeah.
And whereas when we had the bird's eye view, that gave us kind of an additional step to, just have the conversation again with our creative. Is this the most interesting way to go? Are we really reflecting the world the way it is?
Yeah.
So that's where those roles go. But then, of course, when you get the major recurring roles, the series regulars, the potential new series regular roles, that's where, more and more people do need to weigh in.
Yeah.
And sometimes go all the way up to the top network president.
Right. Someone just asked how much weight gets put on the resume and credits for an actor in terms of getting approved.
It depends. I mean, my experience as a casting executive was actually the same as how I work as a casting director. The first thing that I care about more than anything else is the character and the quality of the performance. If we are a little on the fence, if the audition we're watching doesn't knock our socks off, but they do have strong credits, they do have strong training, that does help us take the risk a little bit more.
Yeah.
That perhaps the audition wasn't the actor's best day.
Right.
But we
And
know
sometimes
that they're...
Right. And sometimes we can go back and if we get that note, give them direction, based on that feedback that we get from you guys, and hopefully, all get on the same page. Hopefully.
Exactly. And that's when we have the blessing of time to be able to bring actors back in. But there are roles that shoot the next day.
Right.
So we don't have the option of getting another audition. So that's when we will be looking at the resumes and the demo reels to see, is this, for lack of a better word, worth the risk?
Right.
And if we can, and that's when, again, as a casting executive, I would call you up as a casting director and be like, okay, well, I'm not as familiar with this actor. What do you know about them? Are you sure that they can do it? And that's really the big relationship that we have. That is, are they going to be able to deliver on set, or are we going to shit the bed?
Right. Yes. Can we trust this person? Totally. Yeah, I get it. So I've gone through this before, but I think it's good for actors to know, if someone doesn't get approved, is it the end? Is it, if the showrunner feels really strongly about an actor and they're the first choice, but studio comes back, network comes back and says, we don't love him. Is it over? Can we go back and fight? Can we appeal the decision?
Yes, always. There's a ton of conversations. And again, it's, depends on who all's involved in the conversation, but yeah, that's, I think, a very common perspective of when it comes back. And, that if the director is super passionate, if the casting director is super passionate, knows something we didn't know or sees something we didn't see, a challenge as a casting executive is you are kind of viewing everything in a bubble.
Yeah.
Whereas a casting director, you get to see the evolution of a role. We'll see, we all read the same script, and kind of get the basic ideas. But in the room with the casting director, especially with the writer, with the director, there is a natural evolution to the character where it's like, oh, initially we envisioned it this way, but we started seeing this and it came alive. And that can be sometimes the disconnect with studio and network, is we didn't have that process. So that conversation then is very helpful. Yeah,
that actually does happen a lot, where the showrunner or whoever makes the kind of overall executive decision on our end sees a bunch of auditions and says, wow, you know what? I did not picture the role this way, but I kind of love that. And then we'll send him for approval or her for approval. And they'll say, oh, this is totally not, this is not exactly what I read. This isn't what we talked about. And so there is a little bit of that disconnect there. And I've had, not with you, but I've had experiences where it was really hard for them to shy away from, it was completely different than what was written. And so it's, in that case, we would connect, the executive and the showrunner and say, you know what, you're right. This is totally opposite of what I wrote. But after hearing this actor make this incredible choice, this is what I want. This is awesome.
Exactly. Well, and, it can be different because, like, as a casting director, especially being back in the trenches, a lot of us, especially those of us who were trained up under, similar casting directors, I kind of approach every role with almost like improv rules of yes and. Right. I'll bring in a few actors that do kind of fit that to a T or very often.
Yes.
But then I'll do kind of the yes and, here's somebody of a different age, maybe somebody of a different gender or gender identity. Here's a very different way to go to see if this could possibly work. Yeah, I think that's great. Life still goes on. Yes. Let's just talk about reels really quick, because I know that I myself talk a lot about reels, and they're so important for a casting director's process. Do you feel like they kind of serve a different purpose for executives? Meaning, we kind of look at a reel just to see ability when we want to bring in an actor, but what role does that play when we're trying to get them approved? I mean, is it useful? Do they watch reels? Do they take the reels into consideration when weighing the approval? 1,000%. And actually, I think it's very, very similar on the executive side. that it's to get more familiar with the actor, to see what they've done and what they're capable of. Because obviously in the audition, especially if we're dealing with a co-star or guest star where we have, you know, a page of dialogue to determine this character. And, you know, especially so many shows move so quickly, we're casting a character based off one script, but they're going to be in eight episodes, which we haven't even seen. So we need to make sure that the actor has the full range. Because, you know, maybe in the first episode, they're playing a very kind of comedic light character, but we know that character arc is they're going to turn out to be the serial killer. You know, so we need to like then watch, do they have this darkness? Do they have this range? Do they have the strength to carry it on? So yes, absolutely, the reels help. And actually, just one thing I always love to put out there when talking with actors is, you know, especially those who are starting out, you know, think it's tough because when you haven't booked a role, what do you show? You know, yes, it's always nice when you have the big giant Westworld scene. You know, the amazing Broad City comedy, you know, something flashy and splashy and exciting. But that's not the end all be all. You know, we watch plenty of demo reels where they are just self-tapes, where they
I say that all the time.
Self-created projects. Because again, we're looking for the character and for your abilities of the actors. Even if it's stuff filmed from the stage. You know, we're super excited and we love seeing all of that.
100%. I'm so glad you said that. Oh man, I had a question. And then it just went out the window. Okay, I remembered. So in talking about actors who don't have a lot of footage, I think what I've heard from a lot of actors is that they're worried that, you know, they're in training, they're having really great auditions, really great feedback, really great reps, they feel in a good place, but they're worried about they're not able to make that jump from co-star to guest star, and they're worried that it's because they're not going to be approvable because they don't have the guest star credits on their resume. So does that matter? Does that get taken into consideration? And then for actors that don't have any footage, do executives, are they okay? Are you okay? I mean, I know you just said you're okay with that, but like, are the higher ups okay with that too? I mean, I know we just went through this on the last series together where the main series regular had something she filmed in her bathroom, right? And that was kind of her main thing. So it's kind of a two-part question. But so I guess the question is, does it matter? I mean, can these people still be approvable with not having those jump of credits or not having that footage for bigger roles?
Yes, I would say absolutely. I mean, because again, what's more important than anything else and what always wins out is the talent, you know, and when a character is presented that is so perfect, it's a very easy yes. You know, because we're looking at the strength of that. So no, and I mean, this industry is still incredibly excited for the discoveries. You know, working at TBS, you know, it was funny, like my very first interview there, you know, my former boss at the time was like, well, by the way, I don't know if you've heard of Miss Jennifer Lawrence, but she got her start on a TBS series, The Bill, which is true. You know, I mean, because everybody does start there, and there is that excitement to find the next big thing, the next interesting choice. So no, we don't shoot that down. Again, you know, it's complicated because every role and every character is different. Right. You know, an easy yes is an easy yes. You know, it's when we're not quite sure. You know, when we're watching the audition, it isn't that strong. You know, and it's a question mark of, is this person ready for this size of a role? Do they really have it in them? So yeah, that's when we'll look at the credits, look at the experience, how long have they been around, and look at where are they studying, who are they studying with. You know, I am such a huge believer and supporter of the Groundlings, UCB, Second City, the comedy training schools, but especially even for dramatic actors. You know, it's not just for people who want to be the next, you know, Saturday Night Live cast member. You know, I think it provides such amazing training, and that's one of the things I always look at and spark to on a resume. You know, and again, to make sure that somebody's actually in class, that they didn't just study in college and then feel that. And then,
ready for TV.
You know?
So you kind of just went over this, but so the key main reasons why an actor would not get approved. Obviously, you know, I know you don't think that they might not be the strongest person for the role. Any other reason?
You know, it can be difficult. I mean, the you know, again, I'll speak for myself. My least favorite part of my executive side of the job was when a particular show did need name talent. You know, and that's
it's good to know. It's good to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when it, you know, that's based on business needs, you know, because we need marketable, exciting names that are going to get people to tune in. You know, that it's, you know, for the posters. I mean, again, it's my least exciting part.
Yeah.
You know, I always said, you know, kind of my excitement with casting is reinvention and discovery.
Yeah.
You know, taking known talent names and getting to twist it on the head, showing something they've never done. You know, my favorite example is Bryan Cranston in Breaking Bad. You know, love to be in that casting room when they're like, so the dad from Malcolm
I know, right?
is going to be our big bad guy.
Perfect. But he was.
And that was so amazing and so exciting.
Yeah.
You know, so I love when a project can be hand in hand on that.
Yeah.
We talk about known names, but we also can talk about and read for discoveries.
Yeah.
And, you know, the way the industry is now, I think there is much more opportunity for that. You look at some of the biggest shows, those casts,
I know.
You know, where there was The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones. I mean, these are strong working actors. It's not like they've never done anything before.
Right.
But they weren't household names.
Right.
You know,
100%.
But a lot of that comes to the strength of the project, the need of the project, et cetera. You know, and, you know, it's a interesting line to walk, but you know, those conversations are had and they're had in depth.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you know, I've had the blessing to work on a lot of projects, both as an executive and as a casting director, where it started out that like, oh, we need a name, we need the name, but then this other actor comes in, or we're able to suggest another actor, or somebody comes in and submits a self-tape, etc.
Yeah.
That blows us out of the water, and we're like, yeehaw, here we are.
Yeah. Well, you also know what you're getting too. Anyway, I mean, unless you're, you know, getting some ginormous names, sometimes you haven't seen that actor in a while, or you've never seen them in that role, and it's a little bit of a risk. Yeah. You know, so it is nice when you see an actor who comes in and just nails it, and you know kind of what you're going to get in both personality and performance.
Well, and I think what's the hard fact about it is, you know, remembering that this is a product we're making, right? And it's got to be commercially viable, right? You know, that unfortunately, it's not just about the art. It's not just about the storytelling. You know, when it comes to the money people, you know, and that's where the network and the studio are. And, you know, as a casting executive for those places, that is what you owe and what you have to protect. You know? And that's where, you know, where I love working with my casting directors, you know, is to really try to create a open dialogue to fit both needs, you know, to understand the business side of it and what is going to ultimately get this show to make money, to get eyeballs on the show, and to get a long run for it. Yeah. Because you can do a pilot that is artistically so satisfying and exciting and interesting, but it's never going to sell.
I know.
You know, nobody's ever going to see the light of day. I know. And you're looking at a studio and network that, you know, for a typical TV pilot, you know, costs millions of dollars. Right. That's a mega investment. Right. And that's why there is so much scrutiny and pushback on all of those. But that even goes down to, you know, in episodic casting when we're looking at the co-stars and the guest star roles. Yeah. I think we all have examples of we're watching a show and somebody comes on, you know, even if it's just one line, but they suck so bad it takes you out of it.
It takes you completely out of it. Yeah, it matters. Every role matters. Yeah. You know. Yeah.
Well, and that's the importance of the roles, because you know, I think a lot of people sometimes, and you know, not across the board, but I think there are people that kind of look down on the co-star roles. You know, that they're for beginners, or that it's just a lesser known role. Yeah. You know, and that's so not true, because you know, speaking from the studio and network side, you know, before we begin casting an episode, we go through with a fine-tooth comb. We work hand in hand with our production people who are doing the budgets, and every role has to be justified.
Right.
You know, we're not, it's a one-line role one day, you know, but that's still $1,000 paycheck.
Right.
That's $1,000 we're paying somebody. So that role is important and is necessary.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not just the writer decided they wanted to have it.
Yeah.
You know, the script and the story has to speak to the money people on the production side to justify that.
Yeah.
They will cut every single little dollar that they can. So, you know, by the time you're reading for a role as an actor, you know, this is, I'm sorry, I got the cat popped up again. You know, as soon as you are reading for that role, it's an incredibly important role.
Yeah.
You know, that moves the story along. So all of them are valid.
Yeah. It's such a bummer because I hear a lot, not a lot, but probably too frequently from agents and managers who say, you know, they're going to skip out on this because we're really trying to push them for guest star roles. And then I'll talk to that actor and they'll say, I just want a job, you know, and they don't seem to be on the same page. So I don't know, just a PSA to actors out there, you know, like you were saying, each role is important. Each role, in my, you know, perspective, is a great learning experience, and it's people you're meeting, and it's all positive. And the important thing is hearing from you is that having that extra co-star credit does not mean you're now not viable for the next guest star role.
Exactly. Well, and also, you know, there are countless examples of roles that were written as one-off co-stars, but the actor came in and it just was something so special that we brought them back. They recurred. Yep. And they became a series regular.
Well, that's just what happened when I had my live with Kirsten Vegas a few weeks ago, who was supposed to be a 2-line co-star and was a series regular on Criminal Minds for 16 years. So there you go.
Well, and he's also one of the few actors when we did the spinoff, the Criminal Minds Suspect Behavior. He was a series regular on 2 primetime shows.
Right.
Which that's, you know, a hat trick very few get to pull off.
Yeah. We're seeing a little bit more of that, but it's rare for sure.
Exactly. Well, and especially, you know, for major broadcast series. Very rare back then.
Very rare. Yeah.
You know, and every opportunity is that chance.
Yeah.
To leap off of it, you know, and the same thing. Well, and it's the same thing when you're watching the demo reels. You know, you can tell in a couple lines when it's a strong scene and a strong performer that they're bringing something to it. They're valuing it, and it's a 3-dimensional character. That's when you have the aha moments, and that's when we're like, oh, yeah, that was a small part, but, you know, this actor has something. Let's bring them in for the bigger role, you know, and those are people we think about for series regulars.
Happens a lot. Yeah. So I just urge all actors to make sure you're on the same page, you know, with your representation. I can't tell you how many times I've heard from agents and managers who say, oh, I don't want this for them. But is that really what they want too? And obviously that's really important.
Yeah.
So real quick, I know you're saying, you know, you love discovering new talent and kind of being there in that realization when someone's really special as a casting director and as an executive. And I know the answers to these.
Yes.
I just want to make clear for the rest of the world, but do you guys meet new actors? Do you ever read actors in-house? Or, I mean, what are some ways that you're able to meet some of these people?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, for us at TNT and TBS, I worked closely with my co-director, Alexis Booth. And we were huge fans of Taking Generals. We tried to do at least 1 or 2 a day. You know, just to get that. Well, because both of us having come from the casting director world, you know, we desperately missed being in the room, which is actually the main reason why I decided to make the leap back into casting, because, you know, that's where my creative passion was. But I got to kind of satiate that during my years, you know, as an executive, by doing the generals and by, you know, occasionally reading with the actors. You know, the majority of the ones that we sat down with were actors and performers that we were either familiar with or that we had seen in something or were pitched and we had gone through the demo reels. So at that point, it was just trying to get more of a feeling for the actor with it. But, you know, the other big benefit is being the executive, at least for where I was at, was, you know, we had more set hours. because obviously,
Yeah.
as a casting director, when you're working on the project, you know, it's all hands on deck, and
Yeah.
those hours will go from, you know, 9 a.m. till midnight where you're trapped.
Yeah,
in
we
the
don't
office.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, whereas for me, we did have general more office hours.
Yeah.
So that plus the expense account
Yeah.
allowed us to go see more shows. So like
Yeah.
Alexis and I
That's
did
true.
2 or 3 shows a week. You know, we
Yeah.
flipped it up from doing stand-up to musical theater to
Yeah.
professional plays. You know, you name it, we went out to try to see it. And
Yeah.
that's something I still try to accommodate as much as I can, you know, quarantine aside.
Right, right. But you're right. It is hard. I mean, you know, actors ask me all the time, oh, you know, can you come to my theater show and my improv show? And I love doing that stuff. One, I have 2 gremlins at home who will need to go to bed at some point. But we do have such oddball hours, you know, that many times, many months out of the year, I'm at the office till 9, you know. So just to put it in perspective, we work long hours. And, you know, a lot of these things are on the weekends, but it's, you know, it's just a lot of time.
Well, because I think, you know, what's so hard in this industry, and I think this is for actors and casting, producer, you know, literally everybody involved in it is so hard for us to remember to take time for ourselves too.
100%.
You know, this industry especially, you know, it's incredibly easy to burn out and become all about the work and all about the job. And, you know, I think, you know, when I was working under my very first casting director, Dava Waite, you know, I started off with her, and, you know, even when we weren't working on a pilot, I would stay in the office till about 10. And then she finally caught on, and she looked at me and she said, honey, I love the work ethic, but you got to have a life.
Right.
You know, you've got to take care of yourself, because this isn't everyone. And I think that is something so important for all of us to, you know, remember to do what we need to do to keep our humanity, to keep our sanity, you know, and that includes time with family. That includes downtime and time to shut off, and, you know, all of those things that allow us to do our best part of work and the self-care.
Right. Totally. Completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
So how has it been back in independent casting?
It's awesome. I am so excited. For anybody who knows Arlie Day, knows how wonderful she is. Fun little random side story. Arlie is actually the very first person I ever met in casting.
No way.
Yeah, it was. I had just gotten a job as an office PA on the show Brothers and Sisters.
Okay.
And so that was my very first scripted show.
Yeah.
And then they sent me over to go pick up some deal memos from the casting office. And she was working as the casting associate at the time. So I walked up, and, you know, here's me at 24 and was like, hey, what do you do? And she's like, I'm in casting. And I'm like, what's that? You know, so I kind of owe it all to Arlie for being my first representation.
That's amazing. I love that. That's so great. Well, we're so happy to have you back in our community. We've, like I said, just gained a huge gem. So.
Well, thank you. You know, it was interesting timing, you know, to launch the company in January, and then we had just lined up about 5 or 6 films. We got our first series, which was supposed to start this week, which has got pushed. So
yeah, but still, I mean, that's incredible.
Well, thank you. So we're excited, you know, and just kind of holding tight like everybody else, and waiting to see, you know, when we can all get back to work, you know, hardcore.
Yeah. I did see one question up here. I think this was like a writing pilot question, which we would not know the answer to. Someone said, when you're looking at pilots, what content are you looking for? But,
yeah, that'd be a development question.
Yeah. Oh, wait, let's see what's in our comment or question box here. Oops. No one wants to see that. That's all my baby stuff. Hang on.
Proof that you are a working mama.
Oh. What are you guys doing virtually right now? I mean, are you working right now? Are you doing generals? I mean, that's just. Are you hanging out with your cat?
Thankfully, we actually do have a couple film projects that are going.
Oh, cool.
So we have been kind of focusing on that, and then have actually been just trying to really focus on some self-care.
Yeah.
With all of the fear and the insecurity and everything that's going on.
Yeah.
I've been, trying to do the self-care thing and also really using this as time to catch up on the content I haven't had a chance to watch. We, are living in the golden age where there's so much amazing stuff out there, but it's been impossible to really watch anything. So I've been really focused on trying to catch the things that I've missed.
Yeah.
I am a huge advocate for everyone, not just in casting, but of course, especially actors, to watch at least a little bit of everything that you can, and not just the enjoyment watching, but I always say, if you're willing to work on it, you've got to watch it. So that includes everything, as a middle-aged white dude who doesn't have kids at the moment. I don't spend a lot of time watching Nickelodeon or Disney Channel shows for my personal enjoyment, but I do want to check it out. I need to see what they're doing, because those shows, those platforms are doing some really interesting, exciting stuff, and I would absolutely accept a job with them. So I need to know what they're doing. And that's the same thing for everything from, Quibi that's about to launch, to Netflix, to being aware of what HBO Max, has coming out, to still also watching what are the broadcast networks doing, what are their sitcoms, what are their procedurals, what are the current styles, because if you're going to know, again, if you're going to be able to work on the job, you have to accept the job super quickly, and there's not going to be the time to really do your homework. So right now is the time I'm really trying to focus on doing that.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And like I was telling the actors the other day, now's a great time to make a list of just to watch pilots. Pilots can tell you so much about that series, and especially for shows that are currently running, just to give you a feel of that show, which is just so important in terms of doing your homework before you go into an office. Just make a list of pilots right now of shows that are currently shooting, and try to go through them. Now's when else are you going to have this time to do all of that? Yeah.
Well, because honestly, I would say the most off-putting thing an actor can ever say to me is, "I don't watch TV."
Right.
I think
I hear
literally
that a lot,
stupid.
Surprisingly.
So much.
Yeah.
So much. People think that it's like this artistic chip on
right.
your
Like I don't own a TV.
Yeah.
When you want to be on TV.
Yeah. I'm like, well, then you're an idiot. I mean, it's like, I always use the metaphor of, would you go to a mechanic that's never been in a car?
Right. Or doesn't own a car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just that, stupidity meets arrogance.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
And it's not just TV. It's all kinds of film and, what's going online. And we've got so many different platforms, to really have that working understanding of what is the industry doing and where are we going right now.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. We just got like a few actually good questions coming in. And I want to hear this from your perspective now that you're in the room, back in the game. Someone said, what's the best way for an actor to leave the room after an audition? I'm usually polite and thankful, but make sure not to take too much of their time.
I think that's actually the perfect way to go. Having been one of the people that has, worked in, as I was coming up, I always like to say I was professionally slutty, in the sense that I had the blessing of working under a lot of casting directors who, had also very different ways of managing and different requests for it. And it can be really tough for actors because I think you get a lot of conflicting advice, about so many things.
Yes.
The questions we get a lot is like, should I hold my sides? Should I not hold my sides? Should I sit? Should I stand? Does it matter if I,
should I mime?
Yes. Should I bring in props? Should I wear, I think there are a few universal do's and don'ts that people do adhere to. But for the most part, for example, like holding your sides, every office is different, and you don't know. And I think that's kind of where the how do I leave the room is different. The two generic sides I would say is that you have some casting directors where their philosophy is pure business, and that can come out cold. To my understanding of them, that's not their intention, but they you know, they're there to do the work. It's strictly professional, you know, get in, get out, you know, and keep it rolling.
Yeah.
Then there's the other side of casting directors, which, you know, perhaps I can veer too friendly sometimes where I like to chat and I like to say hi and everything, you know, which can be a little tough because, you know, when you're working on a really serious drama, an actor comes in character and, you know, I immediately am like, oh my God, hi!
I know, me too.
Calm it down. Calm it down.
Yeah.
You know, because I personally do strive to keep it as warm and welcoming of a room with it. So the best answer I have, that's the long way of getting there, is do your best just to try to read the room.
Yes.
You know? Follow the casting director's lead.
Yes.
You know, a huge thing that's going to change for all of us is, you know, even before the outbreak, you know, some people like to shake hands. Other people were like, nope, stay away from it.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be huge.
I think that's a really good point. I honestly, I'm much more of a friendly person. I mean, we both were raised by the same group of friendly people. So, and I'm the same way too. And I honestly, before quarantine and everything, people would reach out their hands and I would shake it because I didn't want to be rude. But if I'm being honest, I didn't feel that comfortable doing it. Right. You know, technically for 18 months of my career, I was pregnant. Yeah. You know, and so I always, again, felt like I wanted to be a friendly person, but I didn't enjoy shaking people's hand after hand after hand. So I think that will look differently after this, but there's lots of ways to be friendly without having to do that. Yeah. I think this might have opened our eyes to that. I don't know. It's just, you know, I'm not against handshaking when you're meeting one person, but you know, we're meeting a lot of people and I don't know where you just came from. Yeah. You know, and
we get exposed to, you know, there are days we'll read hundreds of actors.
Yes.
And you know, I think that'll be interesting. So I would say, you know, follow the casting director, the director's lead. Yeah. Yeah. You know, don't reach out your hand unless they reach out theirs. But also conversely, if you aren't comfortable shaking their hands, it is so acceptable to be like, oh, I'm not really a handshaker, but thank you so much.
Yes.
Nobody, especially after this, is going to hold that against you.
100%. And that also goes with you were saying how you can sometimes be too chipper, especially during a drama, which I don't know if Jess is still watching, but I have that. She has witnessed that many times where they're supposed to be coming in sobbing. And I'm like, look at those pants. Where are those from? You know? But feel free to shut us down in your own way in the sense of you know, politely say you know, can we slate after? We'll get it. We'll understand. If you're not reciprocating immediately, I 100% I'm like, okay, let's get into this. Let's slate after, you know. I mean, we pick up on all of these things. So don't feel like if you were in this incredible headspace ready to go and all of a sudden I asked you where your bag is from, just don't feel like you need to respond just because, you know.
Exactly.
And I try my best to read them and see where I mean, if they're coming in chipper, then I'll reciprocate it. But if they're coming in, the tears are dripping down, I get it. Let's roll, you know? Exactly.
Well, and it is because it's, you know, there's also, you know, sometimes in casting, at least speaking for myself, I'll get a little slap happy near the end of the day. You know, when I'm at my 200th actor for the day. Yeah. You know, and I've had people crying at me all day, I'm looking for anything.
Yes. Comedic relief.
You know, and, you know, shout out to all of us from the April Webster and Associates. Yeah. I just saw Jessica say hi. Hi, Jess.
Hey.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there was, you know, I would love to do a project with casting, kind of a family tree, because I think it's so interesting that you get to see who was trained by who, and you really see those philosophies come down through everybody about how they approach it. I mean, because I think we were very lucky, you know, especially working with somebody like April, who is such, in my opinion, an actor's CD. She is 100%. An artist. She gets that, getting to learn and watch from her in the room, how she reads with actors, how she connects with them, and values every single role as an artistic opportunity, you know, and has that passion. Her passion is so contagious that I think those of us who were lucky enough to come up under her, you know, have that. But conversely, that means we love actors and we get excited to see you.
Yeah. No, totally. But you're right. I've always thought about that, how everyone is kind of raised differently, and I think that's where a lot of the difference, the different perspectives, and you know, when actors say oh well, this office does it this way, and everyone kind of, I mean, it's essentially all the same work, but everyone has their different approach, and it's really just interesting to me. Like some actors tell me, oh, I'm not a huge fan of slate shots, and I want to see like what you think about that. But I've had actors say that they've talked to some associates who love slate shots, which I find interesting. What do you think about slate shots?
You know, I'm fine with them, really, when it comes down to it. You know,
are you gonna watch them though?
I do still.
Really? See, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's because, you know, I think part of that just is coming from the executive world.
Yeah.
Like, I will look at, excuse me, not Corona, I promise.
I know. I've been touching my face this whole time, and I'm like, oh my God, people don't want to get near me.
Well, and I'm sure I'm not the only person that every time you cough, you're like, oh God, do I have it? Oh, no. But, no, I mean, I think I'll usually watch just about anything that's put in front of me. Except I will say the one thing I will say I hate is music montages at the start of your demo reel.
Yes!
For the love of God, kill me. I don't ever want to see
let me just say it for the people in the back. The only thing that these montages do is frustrate us. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that we're going to do when seeing them is skip forward. Right?
Exactly. Because again, I get it. Like, they look cool and everything like that, but
that's not what we're looking for.
That's not what we're looking for. We're looking at thousands of actors.
Yes.
We don't have time for that shit. Like,
no.
we need the gold.
Yes.
We want the gold. That's what we're looking for.
Yes.
You know, and the music montages and, you know, some other things are soy.
Yeah.
It's
great that you know iMovie. You know, yeah. I don't need to know about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And one more quick question. We're almost at an hour. I have my sort of process when going through an actor's reel, but a lot of actors have questions about like the length of a reel and the process. I personally don't like to put a certain length on a reel because for me, I only have time to watch a few seconds of each clip just to look for ability and range and things like that. So to me, it's like if you have a 2-minute reel versus a 7-minute reel, which is, you know, arguably on the longer side, I'm still not going to watch the full length of either of those because there's just not enough time in the day. So, but a lot of actors do hear that you need to have, you know, 2 minutes or under. That's like a rule. Yeah. So what do you think about that?
See, this is where I get greedy. I mean, look, I think the full honesty is no casting director that I know watches every minute of every demo reel.
It's impossible.
We jump around. No, because, I mean, honestly, we're looking at it to see which scenes are applicable, what's showing us what we need to do.
Right.
And there are times I've gotten sucked in and watched an entire demo reel because it's amazing and the scenes are great. Like, that totally does happen.
Yeah.
But traditionally, it's going through it real quick just to be like, okay, I've got this little checklist of, can this person do any comedy? Can they hit the love interest? Do they have the sincere moments? Yeah. You know, how are they in these different things to check the arc?
Right.
You know, but for me, I think when you get to the, let's say, let me keep it this way. Keep it to the good stuff. You know, and as you're growing as an actor and getting more material, you know, you got to make the Sophie's choice of what's too old, what isn't as strong, what isn't as exciting. You know, do I have 5 minutes of me playing essentially the exact same character over and over again? Yeah. Don't need to see that. But if you are lucky and blessed to have, you know, a plethora of amazing, great, different footage, you know, and you have the ability for it, you know, I'm great with you having a drama reel and a comedy reel.
That was just what someone asked, and I was about to say that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm great. I like that when you have that ability to have that footage. Mm-hmm. And look, if you are blessed that you have one of these amazing 10-minute scenes where there is just no good place to cut it, post that separately.
I agree. It's just about the good stuff. And again, there's so many rules floating around there. And it's really just about showing your best work. Right. And so, and if your reel's getting a little bit long because you're doing really well and you're getting lots of footage, then like you said, see where now the weakest links are and take those out to make room for the better stuff.
Exactly. And that can be a great thing to ask a friend.
Yeah.
You know, and again, one of the friends who's going to tell you the truth, or if you're lucky again, agent or manager. Because it can be hard when we love all of the stuff that we have. We love all of the, you know, you need somebody who can walk in there and, you know, cut, you know, unnecessary, repetitive, etc. Can be your bad guy.
Yeah. Was like a frame on 9 cents. Oh yeah, we answered that. Cool. Well, that I mean that was all I think incredible info.
Well, that's it. You know, the one thing I'll kind of go back and say that I do like to preach, because, you know, we kind of hit on how so many different offices, so many different situations have different rules. And, you know, what I always like to say is kind of the best answer is, at the end of the day, as an actor, you got to go with your gut. You know, rules are made to be broken. Yes. You know, and I've forgiven the craziest things that have happened in audition. Yeah. Right. Because the character was shown and was spot on. Yeah. You know, so don't overly stress about should you hold your side, should you not hold your side. Right. I will say the universal do and do nots that I can think of is, for the most part, avoid props, but absolutely avoid all weapons. Oh, 100%. Do not bring weapons, and we all have stories of people that have come in. You know, I've had actual knives, guns. I had a samurai sword pulled on me. Same. I've had an LAPD cop who also wants to be an actor, who was obviously brought in for a cop role, bring in his actual weapon. Yeah. He assured me it wasn't loaded, but I'm like, I don't want to see that 20 feet away from me. You know, I don't want to see anything that, even if it's a Nerf gun, just it's not. There's no point to it. Yeah. You know? Well, you don't need it, because the what I say the biggest principle of it is, I want actors to be selfish in their audition. And when you come in full costume, when you come in with props, when you come in with a lot of unnecessary things, when you come in with an unnecessary accent that you've decided to slap on the character, honestly, all you're doing is distracting us away from the character. Yes. You know, when you bring in a prop, especially if it's a weapon, I'm concerned for my safety. 100%. And I'm really not watching what you're doing at all. Oh, yeah. When you come in with, you know, you've decided your character should have a Southern accent, you know, even though, again, it's not asked for or required. Right. I'm paying attention to your Southern accent, and I'm thinking in my head, oh my God, how much do I hate this accent? Yes. And I'm not watching your character. And you're not watching their audition. No. Or when actors have actually come up and touched me, as you know, in the Criminal Minds world, there's a lot of, you know, and they want to really like get that across, but they feel the need to, you know, touch me, which is just not, it's not necessary. And I'm 100% not focused on the audition at all. No. I am focused on, and many times I'll scoot back and hope that gives the message. There's really no need to come close to the reader more than like a foot. Yeah. You know, if you're trying to just come out, you know, there's just no need for it. The camera does the job of getting the intent that you're trying to get through. So I know most actors know that, but I just, you know, if you're unsure, you know, or if you got it, ask. Yeah. You know, casting, we are so open to any question that you have. So if you're not sure if you're okay to sit, or you know, if you do feel it's a very intimate thing, so you'd like to get closer to the reader, you know, ask. We're so good with that, because that's what we would do on set. Right. That's what we're there for. To ask and answer questions, and especially when it's not a producer session and it's just us. I mean, this is our time to get it right. Yeah. And, you know, so many of us, you know, that are in kind of our little circle, especially the April Webster, David Waite, you know, worlds, are here to be actor friendly and actors. And we really look at it as a chance to play. Yeah. You know, that's the biggest thing that I find myself usually saying in the room is, thanks for coming in to play. Yeah. Because I really do view the audition as that time to play and to do the work, but that it should be fun and enjoyable and collaborative. Yes, totally. Well, you're awesome. I don't want you to get cut off. Thank you. Well, you're awesome. Thank you for having me. Of course. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. I'm sorry for any questions we didn't get a chance to, but hopefully we'll play again sometime. Yeah, and we'll post this on
IGT Live, so if there's any burning questions or anything, you can post them there. But
and I will say, my preferred, because I know every casting person has a different way if they like to come in with it. Instagram, I kind of suck at a little bit. I'll post every now and then.
Yeah.
But usually my preferred method is via Twitter. So if you want to track down, I'm great with DMs or posting there. Anybody who wants to send me their resumes, I love having it posted there.
Oh.
Or their demo reels, etc. So yeah, Mike Page Casting on Twitter is my preferred way. But there's
your Twitter's about to blow up.
Blow it up, y'all.
Amazing.
Thank you again for having me, love.
Thank you so much for doing this. It was so nice to see you.
And thanks for anyone who was watching. Hopefully that was informative.
I think so. Well, stay safe, stay healthy.
You too.
And
give those babies some love.
I will.
Yay.
Thank you. I'll see you hopefully after all of this.
Yes.
Yes, in person. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.